Hi there, welcome to my G45 feature project that I'm making for Graphic 45 using the wonderful Christmas Warm Wishes collection. It's absolutely stunning. It's full of reds and cardinals and black backgrounds, and it's just, I have to say, this is one of my favourite Graphic 45 collections ever. Now, G45 feature is all about taking as much of a collection as you possibly can and just using it to create something. And I knew as soon as I saw these papers what I wanted to do. So what I've got here is a box. You can see the lid here. It's got an acetate lid and it actually lights up. Now if I just turn it up this way, you'll see it a little better. So I've used my Graphic 45 feet, I have used the chipboards, I've used the collection papers, and then in my box here, when you open it up, what we've got is a set of 12 folios. Everyone's different. They've all got a different front. Some have got Graphic 45 tags with layered up bits. The insides are all different. And I'm going to take you through each folio and show you how to make them all. I've used journaling spots, journaling cards, I've used ephemera, I've used everything I can lay my hands on. I'm even going to show you how to make the box as well. And just as an example, if I can show you, although it might not show up very well because this is daylight, this actually lights up as well. So this is going to be kind of a project that you'll be able to keep forever and ever, bring out every Christmas and make it into a bit of an heirloom. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you how to make the base folio, and then we're going to take each folio step by step and I'm going to show you how to make those. Last of all, what we're going to do is make the box, and I have to thank Mark for putting the box together. I told him what I wanted and he's put together the box with all of the sizes and the way that this is done so that you've got this deep kind of box inside. Very clever, but we'll come to that at the end. So go and grab all of your supplies and let's get on and make our G45 feature 12 Days of Christmas project. So what we're going to do now is make our base folios. There are 12 folios in this project. I'm just going to make one, so you're going to need to make this 12 times over. So if you follow the cutting guide, you'll see that it starts off by saying cut 24. I'm just going to cut 2, but you need to cut all of them. Okay, so I'm going to cut the first one at 4.5 by 6.5 inches. However, because it's a folio and the way that we're making it, I'm going to cut it slightly under. 4.5 by 6.5 is the size of the folio, but I'm going to cut it at 6 3/8 by 4 3/8, and I'm going to cut 2, but you're going to cut 24. Can't count. Okay, then I need you to cut 24 at 5 by 7.5. I'm just going to cut 2, so that is 5 by 7.5 inches, and that's an exact measurement. And then finally what we need is our connector, and we're going to cut 12 at 2 by 6.5 inches. Now you're going to cut 12. I'm just going to cut 1, so I'm going to cut that at 2 by 6.5 inches. Now because these folios are very light, I don't think we necessarily need to have any reinforcement on the connector. You can put Tyvek on there, you can get black Tyvek if that's what you want to do, but I wouldn't say it was necessary. Okay, so now if you grab your scoreboard, we're going to score our folios. Now these first two pieces, the ones that were just pardon me, 4.5 by 6.5 inches. We don't need to score anything on those, so I'm going to put that to one side. And then we've got these two, which were the 5 by 7.5 inches, and they're scored in exactly the same way. So we're going to score on the 5-inch side at 1/2 inch, and we're going to score on the 7.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 7 inches, and we're doing the same on both pieces. So you're going to score on the 5-inch side at 1/2 inch, and you're going to score on the 7.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 7 inches. Then finally we've got our connector, which was 2 inches by 6.5 inches, and we're going to score on the 2-inch side at 1/2 inch, 1 inch and 1.5 inches. So essentially what you've got here is something that has been scored every 1/2 inch. So you can pop your scoreboard away, and these are our pieces. So what we need to do is miter these corners. So I'm just going to take these pieces where we've got these 3 intersecting score lines, and I'm just going to miter those. Same on both pieces. Just going to put a bit of a kink in my miter so that they don't overlap when I fold them. And then I'm going to fold on those score lines like that on both pieces. And I am going to burnish so that I get a really nice sharp crease for the edge of my folio. I like to do it on both sides just to be sure. Now I've got a nice sharp corner there and nice sharp edges, and I'm going to do the same on the other. Okay, so these pieces that we cut without any score lines on, basically they is just going to slip inside those flaps there like that, and that is the same on both pieces. And what we're going to do, oh, cat hair. What we're going to do is we're going to glue on this flap, fold it over, and then we'll have an enclosed page with one open side. So make sure that your page, this piece that hasn't got any score lines on, butts up exactly to that open part without the flaps on the other half of the folio, the bit that wraps around, the page that wraps around. So let me find some glue, hopefully that's working. I'm just going to put some glue onto the edges of my folio page like that, and then fold that over, glue it down, so what I've got is an enclosed page here with this opening just on that one side. Okay, I'm going to do the same on this one. Cat hairs are optional, although pretty certain that they're going to actually you know, make it stronger. So glue on those flaps there like that. Fold that over and glue it down. Okay, just go over it again, make sure that it's stuck down really well. Now the connector that we've got, what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to miter these corners, just these middle two sort of like gussets here. Those are going to be left alone. Those are the connectors that we see in between our folios. So I'm just going to snip off, just going to miter those corners like that up to these score lines, so like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip this inside that open part of my pocket there, like that. And you can see that that fits absolutely spot on. Now for me, this side that hasn't got the flaps on, that would be the outside cover, and this bit here, this is the sort of like mountain side of my folio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue on both sides of this sort of connector bit, just that one edge between the first score line and the edge of the card, and I'm going to just pop that inside there up to where the score line is, and I'm just going to glue it down like that, so that that page is now fully encompassed. So what we've got is a page that's basically 2 pieces of card thick. Now I'm going to put some glue on the other side like that, and I'm going to add this to the other side like that. There we go. So that is my base folio made. You're going to need to make 12 of these, and when this is sufficiently dry, I'm going to fold that in the middle like that. Okay, so this is our base folio. You're going to have 12 of those, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take each folio in turn, and we are going to make each of the inserts, and I'll show you how I make them. I won't be gluing them down because I'd need to make 12 of these, and I'm sure you don't want to watch me do that. So I'm going to make each one individually, and whilst I won't be sticking bits down in it, you'll get the idea. All right, so we're going to start in just a moment with folio number 1. Okay, so we've got a base folio here that we made earlier on. And what I'm going to do now is work my way through all 12 folios in groups of 4. So this segment will do folios 1 to 4. Now, number 1 folio is this folio. So if I show it to you inside, what we've got here are almost like these policy envelope type folders where you can put photo mats inside, and they'll all stay in because of these little flips and flaps. So that is what we're going to make now. Now you can see as well how I've decorated it, but once I've done each part, I will go through and just explain a little bit about decoration as we go. I'm not going to be actually sticking things in because I've just got the 1 folio, but I'm going to take them step by step and show you where each of the pieces goes. So if you grab your trimmer, let's get these out of the way. The first thing that you need to be doing is cutting 4 at 3.5 by 6.5 inches. So 4 at 3.5 by 6.5 inches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then finally I want you to cut 4 at 4 by 1.5 inches. Now you might find that some of these bits that you've already got left over from what we made earlier will fit, so I'm going to use up my odds and ends, and I'm going to cut 4 at 4 inches by 1.5 inches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, So now if I get my scoreboard, let's start with those first 4 pieces. I like to just turn my bits all over so that I know where I am. So let's just turn those over. And we're going to start with these first 4, which were 3.5 by 6.5 inches. And I am going to, when I find my, there we go. I'm going to score on the 3.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. And that is the same for all 4 pieces. So I'm scoring on the 3.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. Then these final 4 pieces that we cut at 1.5 by 4 inches, we're going to score on the 1.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. Now, if you want to, you can use a corner rounder for your edges. So let me just grab mine, put my scoreboard away. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to round the corners that are furthest away from my score line. So my score line's down here, and I'm just rounding the corners furthest away. So on the opposite side to where that score line is. And then the same with these little pieces as well. Okay, and then I'm going to fold on all of these score lines. Like so. And I am going to burnish them, so I get really nice sharp creases. Same on the little ones. Like that. So if I get my folio, here's one of the base folios that we made earlier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these larger pieces, put some glue along this flap here, and I'm going to glue one to the left hand side, and then I'm going to glue one to the right hand side. So that is up to this point here where our connector starts that joins the folio together, the 2 sides of the folio together. So those are going to stick on there like that. And then I'm going to do exactly the same with the other side as well. So that's going to glue down there, and that's going to glue down there. Once those are in place, I can then open up these pages, and I can add these little pieces at the bottom. Now these will fit just in between where your flaps join in there. So it'll give you a nice idea of how to centralize it. So those are going to fit, one at the top, one at the bottom, and one at the top. Okay. And that's the same on both sides. So once you've completed that, you can cut out your photo mats. Most of these folios fit very standard size photos, which is 6 by 4 inches. And those go, and your photo mats go inside here, fitting just perfectly inside those flaps there. So here you can see how I've decorated it. I've taken some of the images from the Warm Wishes collection and I've fussy cut them here. I have got these, I love these stamps, and I've raised them up. You can just see there, so that I've got one on top of the other. And then on the front, what I've done is I've taken one of the Graphic 45 tags. I've used my dies to make a cover for the tags. And then I've literally just taken some of the stickers, some of the images from the 12 by 12 and the 8 by 8, and some of the die cuts. And I have layered those up. I love that cardinal. Absolutely love it. Then with regard to these kind of edge bits, this is the same on all 12. I have just cut pieces that are 3/8 of an inch roughly by 6 3/8 of an inch. And I've added those on so that you can see that all bits of my folio are covered, even the edges. Okay. Now, what I've also done, just to finish it off, is I've taken my cropodile and I've made a hole that goes through the front and the back of the folio. I've put eyelets on it, and then I've put one of these keychains and a charm on there as well. And I've done that on every single one, just for a little bit of added interest. So that is folio number 1. Now we're going to have a look at folio number 2. Now, because there's 12 folios, what I've done on the front is 6 of these folios have this fancy front with the tags. And then the other 6 folios, I've used one of the large journaling cards out of the collection. I've matted it onto some black card, and then I've laid it up on the front of my folio. As you can see, this is folio number 2, and that has got this journaling card on there. Okay, so let's have a look at how we put together folio number 2. Now, folio number 2 has got a flap here and a flap there. You can put whichever way around you like. And then it's got exactly the same on the other side as well. So now we're going to make those bits. So if you grab your trimmer and some cardstock, we are going to cut 4 at 4.5 by 4.5 inches. So we want 4 pieces at 4.5 inches square. Keep all of your offcuts, because you never know when they might come in useful. Okay, and the last one. So I've got 4 pieces at 4.5 inches square. I'm going to grab my scoreboard, embossing tool, and I'm going to score on one 4.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, and that's the same for all of them. They're all exactly the same. So I'm scoring on one 4.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. Now, once again, you can round your corners, and you want to be rounding the corners that are furthest away from your score line. So I've got my score line here on the left, and I'm just going to round those. Okay, I'm going to fold on my score lines. And I'm going to burnish. Get a nice sharp crease. Then you need to get one of your base folios. And what we're going to do is open it up, and we're going to glue on our flap here, and we're going to pop one there at the bottom left hand side, one at bottom right. So this flap here that we've glued is on the right, And then we're going to put some glue down that flap and pop that one up there, just to the side of the that middle connector, and then the same on that side as well. So what we've got are two flaps that open that way and that way, and that's opposite way round on either side, and that is folio number 2. So as I said, on the front, what we've got is one of our journaling cards. Open it up, and all I've done is I've used pattern paper all the way through, and I've added on some of the little cutter parts out of, I think this was out of the 8x8, and these are 2 of the chipboard pieces. Now I have used a little bit of gold leaf as well in my project, just to, you know, bling it up a bit, but that's how I've done that. And then, as with all of them, I've got my little charm on the cover there. So folio number 3. Oops, squished that one. This is folio number 3, and what we've got are belly bands and then photo mats inside there. Very, very easy to put together. So what we need to do is take our trimmers, and we can usually use some of the papers that we've already cut, like on that last piece that we made. We've got some pretty big pieces left over, and I want to cut 2 at 7.5 by 2 inches, 2 inches being the width. So 2 at 2 by 7.5 inches. Now I'm going to take my scoreboard, and I'm going to score on the 7.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 7 inches. I've just cut those at 2, haven't I? It was 2.5. Follow the cutting guide. 2.5 by 7.5, not 2. Okay, so I've got my belly bands. I'm going to fold those flaps under like that. Thought they seemed a bit thin. Anything in my life that is. I know, Mark's here. He's just snorting in the background. He's got to be here, because when we do the box, I'm going to need him, because he made the box. Right, so take one of your base folios, and all you're going to do is put some glue on either flap, on either end there, and you're going to glue these belly bands into the middle of that folio like that, one on either side. Okay, simple. That's folio number 3. So if I just take you through the decoration, which I've somewhat wrecked here, but on the front of the folio number 3, what I've done is I've taken one of the tags, which I've used my dies to cut the cover out. I've got some fussy cut elements here from the collection, which I've just stuck on one side so that I can just add a couple of these journaling cards in there. And then I've used some more of these. I love these stamps, and I've layered those up and I put that on the front. And then, of course, I've got my little charm. Open that up. What I've done is I've got my photo mats, which are for 6x4 photo mats. So we're going to cut 6x4 photos. So we're going to cut the mats at 4 1/8 inch by 6 1/8 inch, just so we've got that little reveal round. And I've actually used a couple of spare tags that I had as well to go in there. You might not have enough tags left if you're going to put them on the front, but if you've got some spare, it's nice to kind of put them in your books, I think. And this belly band will fit a good couple of photo mats underneath. And then down here, I've used a couple of the stickers, and I've put some of the Merry and Bright cutter parts onto some, well, you can use foam pads. I've used a little bit of greyboard just to raise that up. And that is folio number 3. So let me put that back in there without squishing it. And let's have a look at the final one for this segment, which is folio number 4. Now, folio number 4 is a waterfall. I've used magnets. Oh, love that noise. And I've got space here for my photos or journaling or whatever I choose to put on there. So if I grab my trimmer, I want to cut 8 at 4.5 by 5 inches. So I'm cutting 8 at 4.5 by 5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm only going to do one side, but obviously you're going to cut out 8 and you're going to do both. It seems pointless doing both really for something I'm not going to stick down. So those are my waterfall pieces, but I need a closure band. So I'm going to cut that at 1.5 by 5.5 inches. So let me just see what I've got here. Okay. So I'm going to grab my scoreboard and I'm going to score all of these the same. And I'm going to score on the 5-inch side at 1/2 inch. And that is the same on all 8 pieces. I'm just doing 4 because I'm just doing half of it, but you need to do 8. Now, one thing to bear in mind with this project is that if there is a folio style that you really like, there's absolutely nothing stopping you making more than one of them. So we've got 12 different styles, but if you only like 6, then just make 6 twice. Just pick and choose whichever ones you like the best. It'll still work just fine, but just the box fits 12 folios, so you can pick and choose whichever ones you like the most. Then we've got our closure, which is 5.5 by 1.5 inches, and we're going to score on the 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. So if you put your scoreboard away, what you can do again now is if you want to round your corners, then round the corners that are furthest away from your score line, like that. But you don't need to be rounding the corner on your closure. Okay. So I'm going to fold on those flaps. I'm going to burnish. On each of my waterfall pieces, and then I'm going to burnish on my closure as well. So if you grab your base folio, and what we're going to do is we're going to start off, I'm going to just turn mine round slightly because it's easy for me to do being left-handed, and I'm going to put some glue along this flap here. Now this width is the same as this width here up to where the connectors start. So I'm going to glue this to the very, very top of my page, and I'm going to make sure that it lines up at the top and then down the side, so that lines up perfectly. When that's done, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to put some glue on the next flap, and I'm going to line that flap and this sort of waterfall page up with the page above it. So you can see that we've still got that gap there, but we're using the bottom of that flap as a guide to help us put that one in place. Then when that's glued down, what we're going to do is get the next one, and we're going to do exactly the same again. And we're going to line that up with the edge of our page and with the edge of this flap here, and so on and so forth. Well, then we'll have all 4 of our waterfall flaps in, and that's going to be down here like that. For the closure, what we're going to do is we're going to put some glue on this flap, and we're going to add it at the very bottom here in the middle, so that this sits over the top of our waterfall flaps. Now, just to show you how I decorated mine, what I've done is I have used a cut apart to cover the top of that flap closure, but I have used a magnet behind here, and before I put the paper on here as a closure to keep it all nice and tidy together. Now, I'm not going to show you how to put magnets in, but what I will do is I'll put a link into a short video that I've done explaining how to put magnets in, because it's dead simple. It really is a lot easier than you think. So I'll put a link into my post, and I'll put a link into underneath this class, so that you can see how to get hold of that information as well if you don't know how to do that. But so I've got that in now. That's all magnetized. Remember to put your magnets in before you decorate, and then I've just added patterned paper all the way through. A little tip: you can put patterned paper along here to cover that flap, and it gives you a nice kind of contrast with the paper that you're using. Just cut it down to about 3/8 of an inch by 4 3/8 of an inch, and that will fit on nicely. And both sides are done in exactly the same way. So that is our folios 1 to 4. I think I'll go and make a cup of tea, and then we'll come back and we'll make folios 5 to 8. So thank you for joining me thus far, and we'll come back again in a moment. So now we're going to look at folio number 5, which is this one that has these pull-out flaps here like that, and it's got 2 little pockets, 2 vertical pockets with 2 photo mats here, 4 6x4 inch photos. So let me get that back in there. And the backs of these are just quite plain, but we'll have a go at that. So if you grab your trimmer, I want you to cut 2 at 5 by 6.5 inches. So that's 2 at 5 by 6.5 inches. Then I want you to cut 2 at 2.5 by 7.5 inches. So you can probably use some of these bits that you've got left over. So let me have a look here. So 2.5 by 7.5 inches. So that's 2. Let's see what I've got left over. That's 2.5 by 7.5 inches. Okay, so if you want to grab your scoreboards, let's just turn this over. And what we're going to do is we're going to take those 2 largest pieces that we cut first of all, that were 6.5 by 5 inches. That seems a bit weird. Well, we'll see. 6.5 by 5 inches, and we're going to score on the 5-inch side at 1/2 inch, and we're going to score on the 5-inch side at 2 3/4 of an inch. Oh, that looks right. Okay, so we're going to score on the 5-inch side at 1/2 inch and at 2 3/4 inch. And these two long pieces, these are our pockets. So we're going to score on the 2 1/2 inch side at 1/2 inch and on the 7 1/2 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 7 inches. And it's the same on the other one. So we're scoring on the 2 1/2 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 1/2 inch and 7 inches on the 7 1/2 inch side. So you can put your scoreboard away. And here's how we're going to put this together. So we've got these flaps. So what we're going to do is imagine that this was going onto our page. So we're going to fold that flap like that. And then we're going to fold that back on itself like that. So that is going to, now I'm doing this the wrong way round. Hang on. Yeah, that's right. I was right. Let's start again, shall we? Yeah. Second one, fold on your flap that way, and then fold that back on itself, back towards your fold there. Okay, and we're going to have one of those on each side. Then these long pockets, what we're going to do is we are going to miter our corners off here. So we're going to take those little squares off there. Same on both. And we're going to just fold on those score lines like that. And then we're going to burnish. So we've got nice sharp corners. Same on here. So burnish that short flap, burnish the long one. Okay, so if you grab your base folio and open that up, we're going to put some glue along this flap here, and we're going to glue that one to the far left hand side like that, and we're going to glue this one to the far right hand side like that. Okay, our pockets open away from the center of our folio, so one is going to fit here just up to where the connector starts, and the other one is going to fit that way. You're going to have a gap in between the end of your pocket and where your flap here starts, so you're going to glue those in. Okay, so just to show you again, folio number 5, what I've done is I've covered my flaps there and there. Those fold like that, and I've put a cut apart, or you could use one of the you could either use cut aparts or you could use some of the journaling cards, although I like to put those, you know, in pockets throughout the book. You're going to put those on there, and then here all I've done is I've made 2 photo mats. These are 4 1/8 by 6 1/8, so they'll fit a nice 4 by 6 sized photos. It'll fit a couple in there if you want to. I've just done one, but you can do more. And then that goes together. On the front, we've just got a plain journaling card. I chose to use the back of it just for some interest. And then we've got our little charm there. That is folio number 5. Folio number 6 has just got 2 simple pockets right down the middle there. So if you want to grab your trimmer and some cardstock, we are going to cut 2 at 3 1/2 by 7 1/2 inches. So 2 at Just in case you're wondering, that was Mark's chair, because that sounded well dodgy. I should think so. 3.5 by 7.5 inches. Okay, and those are your long pockets. Okay, so put your trimmer away, grab your scoreboard. These are both scored in exactly the same way. So we're going to start off by scoring on the 3.5 inch side, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch. And then on the 7.5 inch side, we're scoring at 1/2 inch and at 7 inches. Same again on the 3.5 inch side here, we're scoring at 1/2 inch, and then we're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 7 inches on the 7.5 inch side. We've only got those 2 pockets, so that's nice and easy. We are going to miter these corners and get rid of that little square that you can see there. So let's get rid of that. Same on both. Fold on those score lines. And burnish. So take your base folio, open it up, and we're going to put a pocket on either side of this connector, and they're going to be facing outwards. So every time we want to remove something, it's going to come out this way. It's a whole lot less bother than trying to remove things this way, because it just gets in the way. So the pocket should really always point outwards. And we're going to glue on the flap, and we're going to put one on either side of that middle connector. Okay, easy. So let me just take you through the decoration of folio number 6, I think this is. So here on the front, what I've done is I've taken one of the tags. I have used my die to cut out that, and I have layered up some of the die cut ephemera pieces. I've used some of the images from the pattern paper, which I've fussy cut, and I've made up another one of these stamps here. This is one of the ephemera pieces, and as is that. And I've also used some gold leaf underneath there as well. Inside here, you can see some more fussy cut elements from the papers. And here I've just put one of the little merry and bright cut aparts. Now, what I've done here is I've made my photo mats, which once again are 4 1/8 inch by 6 1/8 inch. And there's one on each side. I've got a couple of the journaling cards that I've just popped in there. And then because I'd got some tags spare, I'd put those in as well. But you can fit a good couple of photo mats, you know, in each of these pockets. So that is folio number 6. Folio number 7 is this one. Open it up. And what we've got here are pretty much like policy envelopes. So when you open up this flap here, underneath here, you have got photo mats. And you've got some of the postcards, the journaling cards. But you can always just stick a couple of photo mats in there. There is plenty of room. So if you grab your trimmer, we'll get on with making this one. Pardon me. Block of chocolate, that is. Right, okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to cut 2 at 3 by 6 1/2, and I'm just going back and using some of the cardstock that I've already used. So 3 by 6 1/2, and I want 2 of those, I think. Let's see what we've got. So 2 at 3 by 6.5 inches, and then I want 2 at 3.5 by 7.5 inches. So 2 at 3.5 by 7.5 inches. Okay, grab your scoreboard and we'll start with the first 2 pieces that we cut. These were 3.5 by 6.5 inches, and I want you to score on the 3.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, and that is the same on both, because most, well, all of these pretty much, bar one, I think, are symmetrical. Then with regard to the 3.5 by 7.5 inch piece, I want you to score on the 3.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, and I want you to score on the 7.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 7 inches, and that is the same on both pieces. So score on the 3.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and on the 7.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 7 inches. Okay, so if you want to put your scoreboard away, this is the envelope cover. This was the first piece that we cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to round those corners. It's entirely up to you, but I'm going to round them. Then next, from our simple pockets, we need to cut off that square that we've got in the corner there where the score lines intersect. So let's chop off those corners, miter them. Okay. And I'm going to fold on each of those score lines. And then I'm going to burnish. So score on those fold lines and burnish. Okay, so if you grab your folio base, what we're going to do is we're going to place one of these simple pockets, so glue around the outside, one in the center here with the slip-in pocket pointing outwards, just like we did on the last one on either side of that central connector, and then glue along this lip here, and that is going to fit on there to be the cover for our pockets. So it's like, kind of like a policy envelope, and that is how that folio goes together. So let's have a look at decorating. This is folio 7. We have got a photo, not a photo mat, what do you call them? One of the journaling cards on the front, and I have actually matted these onto black cardstock just to give it a bit of a pop. Open it up, and I've put some of these lovely stamps that I've layered up here, some of the fussy cut bits of images from the pattern papers. There's another one of the stamps there. I've used a bit of the stickers there. Open those up, and then in the pockets we have got our photo mat, which is 4 1/8 by 6 1/8, and then I've just used a couple of the journaling cards in there as well, and that's the same on both sides, but you've got room for a good couple of photo mats. And that, with its charm, is folio number 7. Folio number 8 is kind of similar but the other way around. So what this one's got is a pocket with a cover and a photo mat inside there, and then there's another tiny little pocket down here, which a photo mat, a journaling card, and a couple of the tags from the ephemera pack are going to go into. Okay, so that's what we're going to make next. This is folio number 8. So if you grab your trimmer, cut 2 at 4.5 by 2.5 inches. So 2 at 4.5. Trying to see if I've got some spare that will do. No. 4.5 by 2.5 inches. Cut 2 at 5.5 by 5.5 inches. So 2 at 5.5 by 5.5 inches. And then finally, I want you to cut 2 at 5.5 by 2 inches. So that's 5.5 by 2 inches, and you're going to need 2 of those. Okay, so I'm going to turn those over. So I'm starting to score on the right areas. So I'm going to grab my scoreboard and I'm going to grab my embossing tool, and I'm going to start off with these 2 pieces. These were 2.5 by 4.5 inches, and I'm going to score on the 2.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, and that is the same on both pieces. So I'm scoring on the 2.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. The 2 pieces that were 5.5 inches square, we're going to score on one 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. Then we're going to turn it round 90 degrees, and we're going to score on the other 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 5 inches. And that's the same on both. So we're going to score on one 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, and then we're going to score on the other 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and 5 inches, so that our 3 score lines intersect. Finally, we're going to make simple pockets again out of these smaller pieces that were 2 by 5.5 inches, and we're going to score on the 2 inch side at 1/2 inch, turn that round 90 degrees, so we're scoring on the 5.5 inch side, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 5 inches, and that is the same on both. So we're going to score on the 2 inch side at 1/2 inch, and we're going to score on the 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 5 inches. So you can put your scoreboard away. These 2 pieces that we cut first of all, these are the covers to our pockets, so we can corner round those. And I'm just going to fold on those score lines. Our 2 big pockets that were 5.5 inches square, I'm just going to cut off that square where those 2 score lines intersect. I'm going to do a bit of a kink in it so nothing gets overlapping. Okay, and then I'm going to fold on those score lines like that. And then finally, these little pockets, I'm going to cut that little corner off again on both pieces like that, and I'm going to fold on those score lines there like that. Now I'm going to burnish Get a nice sharp edge. And I'm actually probably going to regret this, but I'm going to get my glue out. Now what we're going to do first is start with the pockets. So I've got my 2 pockets here, my 2 big pockets, and they're going to have the openings at the top. Okay, so I'm going to lay those down with the openings at the top. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these little pockets, I'm going to put some glue on those flaps there like that, and I'm going to put this at the very bottom of that pocket, the larger pocket. So the opening to the larger pocket is here, the opening to the smaller pocket is here, and that is the same on both sides. I'm going to glue that there like that. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm going to get my base folio, I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to glue one of these double pockets on either side of the connector like that. So there's one on each side. Then the covering flap, one goes up the top there like that, hopefully straight, hold on, like that. And then the other one goes at the top like that, and they're glued down. So that is folio number 8. Just to go over the decoration, on the front, what I've done is I've used a tag and my tag die. I've used some more of my gold foil. I've cut out some of the images of the poinsettias and some of the other images, and I've used one of the tags from the ephemera die cuts, and I've just layered those up. This one in the corner, I've actually put onto some greyboard, so it's just a little bit higher, like the stamps there, just to give it a little bit of dimension. When you open it up, what I've done is I've got my photo mats. Now, you've got photo mats in here. These are the big photo mats that are 4 1/8 by 6 1/8 inches, so they fit a 6x4 photo. And then you've got the smaller photo mats here, which are 4 1/8 by 5 1/8, and they just slip on to that little pocket there. I've used a couple of the journaling cards, and then I've just used some of the tags out of the ephemera pack and just added those in, and it's the same on both sides. So if I take those out, open that up, you can see my photo mat there, and then I've got a photo mat here. I've used some of the die cuts here and here, and then that's one of the cut parts, and some of the stickers here, and some more of the die cuts there. So I cut this die cut in half and glued a bit on each side. That's the charm. So that is folio number 8. So we're going to take another break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to do our final 4 folios. And the last 2 are probably the most involved, so it might take a little bit of time. So make sure you grab yourself a cuppa. Okay, so now we're on to the final stretch of the folios, and we're going to look at folio number 9, which is this one. It is so simple, and yet actually it's one of my favourites. And it's just got a simple pocket here and here, and then we've got photo mats that tuck in there and there. So if you grab your trimmer, I want you to cut, let me just grab some paper. Ooh, avalanche. I want you to cut 2, just wondering if this will fit, 2 at 5.5 by 4 inches. So that's 2 at 5.5 by 4 inches. Grab your scoreboard. and we're going to score on the 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 5 inches, and then on the 4 inch side at 1/2 inch. Same on the other one. We're going to score on the 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 5 inches, and then we're going to score on the 4 inch side at 1/2 inch. Okay. Take these little square corners off, a little bit of mitering. On both. Then we're going to fold on our score lines. And we're going to burnish. I just noticed how this keeps going in and out of focus. I'm so sorry. I'm sure it's really distracting, but Mark's treated me to a new camera, which I'm sure you'll agree is infinitely better quality, but it auto focuses, and we just need to download an app just to stop it doing that, but I didn't realize until it was too late, so I do apologize for that. But I think the quality of the picture is just infinitely better. Okay, right, so open up your base folio, and all you're going to do is put some glue onto the flaps, and you're going to put one at the bottom of the page on the left and one pocket at the bottom of the page on the right, so that your opening is here pointing towards the top of your page. And that is folio number 9. Very simple, but one of my favourites. The reason it's probably one of my favourites is because what I've done is I've taken one of the really big images out of the 12 by 12 papers and I fussy cut it. Then I cut it down the middle and I attach one to each side of the pocket. Then I've simply got photo mats here. I've put a couple of the die cut ephemera pieces on there, and the photo mats are the 6 by 4, so they are 4 1/8 by 6 1/8. Then for the rest of it, on the front, I've just got one of the journaling cards that I've popped onto some black card and then added onto the front with the charm. I love this charm. This is a really square charm, this little present. So with that charm. So that is folio number 9. Right, folio number 10 is a chunky one. And it opens up and you've got these 2 slanted pockets on flaps here to open up to 2 smaller pockets there with photo mats, etc. So that's what we're going to make next. So I'll only do one side, but you have to do both, obviously, and you're just going to put one on each side. So let me start off. We are going to cut 2 at 4.5 by 6.5 inches. I'm only going to cut 1, but you're going to cut 2. So 2 at 4.5 by 6.5 inches. Then I want you to cut 2 at 4 by 4 inches. I'm only cutting 1, but you're going to cut 2 at 4 by 4 inches. Okay. Then I want you to cut 2 at 5.5 by 2.5 inches. I'm only going to cut 1, but you're cutting 2 at 5.5 by 2.5 inches. Okay. Right, so grab your scoreboard. And we're going to start with the biggest piece. This was 4.5 by 6.5 inches, and we're going to score on the 4.5 inch side. So that's 4.5 inches at the top. We're going to score at 1/2 inch, and that's the same on both pieces because this is symmetrical. Then we've got this piece, which is 4 inches square, and I want you to score on 2 4-inch sides at 1/2 inch, so the score lines intersect. So I'm going to score on this 4-inch side at 1/2 inch, I'm going to turn it round 90 degrees, so I'm scoring on that 1/2 inch line on the 4-inch side. So these score lines intersect, giving you that little square in the corner. Then finally, we've got these 2 pockets. These are 5.5 by 2.5 inches, and we're going to score on the 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 5 inches, and then we're going to score on the 2.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. And remember that you've got 2 of each of these. So let's start off with the flap and the pocket, the slanted pocket. So I'm just going to fold on that flap there and burnish. Now this is going to attach eventually, one on that side and one on that side, okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at slanting this pocket. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to just miter off that square on the corner there. Now, if I have a look at this pocket here, what I'm going to do is find the ruler that I have lost, that I had literally 2 minutes ago. I've got 2 rulers up here, and I can't find either of them. Hold on. I don't know how this happens. Tell me it happens to you as well. Here it is, hiding. Oh, under my gold leaf. Okay, and we're going to measure in. Let's have a look. Two inches. So here is my pocket. I've got my corner here that I've mitered, and I'm going to measure in 2 inches. Let me just grab my little white pencil. I'm going to measure in 2 inches from the side there, and I'm going to measure in 2 inches from the bottom there, and these are the opposite sides to where we've mitered. So I've got a little mark there and a little mark there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my trimmer and I'm just going to cut off between those 2 points like that, and it's the same on both. So for this one, I'm going to fold that underneath there, and that is going to glue onto that pocket, onto that flap like that there. So I've got my fold here, and I'm going to put that on there like that. If I was doing it the other way round for the other side, I'd glue it that way round. So the opening is pointing towards the middle of the book, okay, but all of this bit here is open. All right, so let me just glue this on, because I can glue this one. Well, I can glue this one if I've got glue. So I'm going to glue that pocket on there like that. And I'm going to take my base folio, and this side I'm going to put some glue all the way down here, and I'm going to attach that to this far right hand side on this side. But obviously if it was the other side, well, it's upside down, but it'd be on that side. You get the idea. Okay, so once that's glued down, we can take this pocket, miter our corners, so get rid of those corners because we don't need them on both pieces. Fold and burnish. So this flap is glued on here. You're going to open that up, and that's going to be glued there like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to glue that pocket over that flap down there, right up to the edge of where the connector starts on the folio. So that is going to go underneath like that. Okay, and that's the same on both sides. So that is folio number 10. Yes. So let's just talk about the decoration. On the front, what I've got is another one of my tags, which I've put some gold leaf on. I've got some fussy cut elements here from the main bodies of the paper. And then I've got some of these cutter parts. I think these ones from the 8x8, which I've matted onto black card, and then I've layered up onto some of my chipboard. You could use foam pieces, and I've put those on there for some dimension. Open it up, and what I've done is I've used some of the fussy cut pieces here and here, and I've just decorated those up. These snowflakes, these are part of the ephemera pack, and I've used some of the cutter parts here, which I have raised up. In the pockets, this photo mat for this front pocket is 3 5/8 by 6 1/8 of an inch, and that gives you an allowance for a reveal. So I've decorated that up, room for a photo here, and then I've got a couple of the not the photo mats, the journaling cards that go in there. Okay, so open those up, and then on these pockets here, I've just added some of the collection stickers. I've got regular photo mats, which are 4 1/8 by 6 1/8. I've got some of the journaling cards, and then over here I've just added a couple of the tags that you get in the ephemera pack as well. So that is folio number 10 with the charm. Folio number 11 is probably the most labour intensive folio. And this one's a little bit different. This is the only one that's not entirely symmetrical. So what we're doing with this one is stacked pockets, but we've also got a little bit of extra room here because we've got stacked pockets on a folded out flap. Okay, so we're going to make those. So if you grab your trimmer, I want you to cut, first of all, the flap, which is 5 1/8 of an inch. Trust me on this. 5 1/8 of an inch by 6 1/2 inches. Okay, and that's the flap. And it's the reason that it's a little bit of an odd size is because it's going to have a little gusset on it. Okay, then I want you to cut 4 at 5 1/2 by 3 inches. So we're going to cut 4 at 5 1/2 by 3 inches. Let's see what I've got left over here. Probably not the right stuff. So 4 at 5 1/2 by 3. 1, 2, 3. 4. And then I want you to cut 4 at 5 1/2 by 2 1/2 inches. So I want you to cut 4 at 5 1/2 by 2 1/2 inches. Okay, one more. So we're cutting 4 at 5 1/2 by 2 1/2 inches. Okay, right, trimmer away, grab your scoreboard. Okay, now to make the flap, which is what we're going to do first, we've got this first piece which was 5 1/8 of an inch by 6 1/2 inches, and we're going to score on the 5 1/8 of an inch piece. We're going to score at 1/2 inch, and we're going to score at 1/8. We're going to score at 1/2 inch, and we're going to score at 5/8 of an inch. So what you've got here is a little 1/8 of an inch gusset. Okay, the next pieces that we cut were 5 1/2 by 3 inches, and we're going to score these all exactly the same, and these are going to be scored on the 5 1/2 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 5 inches, and then we're going to score on the 3 inch side at 1/2 inch, and this is the same for all 4. So we're going to score on the 5 1/2 inch side at 1/2 and 5 inches, and then on the 3 inch side at 1/2 inch. 5.5 inch side, we're scoring at 1/2 inch and 5 inches. And then we're going to score on the 3 inch side at 1/2 inch. Okay, same on all 4 pieces. Now, the next part is ever so slightly different. And what we're going to do is these pieces, which are 5.5 by 2.5, we are going to score on the 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, 5 inches. And when we turn it round, we're not going to score at 1/2 inch, we're going to score at 1 inch. So we're scoring on the 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, at 5 inches, and then we're going to score on the 2.5 inch side at 1 inch. Oops, avalanche. So we're scoring on the 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, at 5 inches, and then on the 2.5 inch side at 1 inch, and the same on the last one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make this. 1 inch. I'm going to show you how to make the stack pockets up on the flap, and then we can make the stack pockets inside the folio. So we've got our flap. I'm going to fold on those 2 score lines, burnish. So what we've got here is a little gusset. I think you can see that there. Okay, now this is going to fit into our base folio on the right hand side like that. It will completely cover that page, but it's going to fit there, opening up that way, and it'll glue on like that. But you need to do this bit first. Okay, so we've got that there, that's all folded and nice. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take these 4 pieces with the simple pockets, and we're just going to mitre all of those like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to fold on that score line like that, and then we're going to come back and we're going to burnish. There we go. So we're folding on that score line. Can you hear that banging? It's Max. I don't know what he's doing, but I think there's going to be problems in a minute. Max is a cat, for those of you who don't know, but I'm sure you've probably figured that out. A very naughty cat. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue these. We're going to start off with just doing the flap. Okay, we do the flap first. So I'm going to just put some glue. I am squeezing really hard. I'm just going to put some glue on those flaps there, like that. And I'm going to put one on the bottom of the flap there, up to that score line where the gusset is, just like that. And then I'm going to put one on the other side as well. Now we're just focusing on this flap piece for now, because we can't easily do the rest until we've completed this. So that is going to go on the other side like that. Okay. Now, to make the stack pocket bit, we've got this piece, which had the 1 inch score line. And that score line across there is simply a guide. So what we're going to do is we're going to mitre them. So where this 1/2 inch line is, I'm going to snip up to there. And then we've got this 1 inch gusset type flappy thing here. And I'm just going to cut that. So it's kind of like, I guess it's an inverse mitre, for want of a better description. And I'm going to do that on all 4. But it's the 1 inch bit here that gets chopped, not the 1.5 inch bit there. Okay, so make sure that when you're chopping the right bits. Okay. So kind of like an inverse mitre, for want of a better description. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, before I glue anything down, is I'm just going to make sure that it fits. So I'm not going to fold anything on that score line. I'm just going to fold on this score line there and there. So I've got 2 short flaps, and I'm just going to slip that in there to make sure that it fits before I glue it down, so that what I've got is a straight line here and a straight line there. I'm happy with that fit. So I'm just going to burnish that. I'm going to put a little bit of glue just on those 2 sides there like that. Not on that bit, it's not necessary. And I'm going to pop that in there like that and glue that down. Okay, so that is my stacked pocket. If I turn it over, I want to do exactly the same on the other side. So I'm just going to slip that in, make sure that it fits. So that's good for size. Burnish. And pop that in there. Just up to where that score line was. That just gives us an idea of where it's going to fit. Okay. Right, so now I've got this pocket, I'm going to take my base folio. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue down here. And I'm going to attach this flap to the far right-hand side of my base folio. So when I open this up, I can now add in a pocket here, a base pocket there, a base pocket there, and then I take these, check them for size, and add those in there and there. You get the idea. So what we've got is a line of 3 stacked pockets here. Turn that over and we've got another stacked pocket there. Okay. So that is folio number 11. And let me walk you through it. So on the front, what I've done is I've put one of the journaling cards, and then I've just decorated up here. I've got a full-sized photo mat here. This is 4 1/8 by 6 1/8, and I've got 4 of those in this book here, in this particular folio. And then we've got the smaller photo mats, and we've got 4 of those, and they are 4 1/8 by 3 5/8. So that's a full length mat, and that's kind of a half length mat. And what I've done here is I've added stickers, a few of the stickers all over. This is a sticker. That's just a piece of a cut apart that I had left over. I've added some stickers to my photo mats, and then here I've got a piece of chipboard on one of the stickers. So that is how I put together folio number 11. Right, folio number 12 is my favourite. So let me take you round folio number 12. If you open it up, what we've got here, we've got 2 little flaps with pockets on and photo mats. Open that up, and then underneath we've got 2 simple pockets here with photo mats, journaling cards, etc, etc. So that's what we're going to make now. So if you grab your trimmer, and your cardstock, we're going to cut 2 at 4 1/4 by 6 1/2 inches. So that's 2 at 4 1/4 by 6 1/2 inches. Okay, then I want to cut 2 at 5 1/4 by 2.5 inches. So 5 1/4, what did I say? Forgotten. 5 1/4 by 2.5. So 5 1/4 by 2.5 inches. And then finally, we're going to cut the 2 inside pockets, and those are 5 1/2 by 3 inches. Okay, so might as well make this one up as it's intended. So I'm going to grab my scoreboard and I'm going to grab my embosser, and I'm going to start on these 2, the pieces that we cut first of all. These were 6 1/2 by 4 1/4, and I'm going to score on the 6 1/2 inch side at 1/2 inch, and that is the same on both. Okay, then we've got these 2 pieces which were not those ones, 5 1/4 by 2.5 inches, and we're going to score on the 5 1/4 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 4 3/4. Is that right? Yeah, 4 3/4 inch, and then we're going to score on the 2.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. Let me just check my cutting guide. Yeah, so I'm going to score on the 5 1/4 inch side at 1/2 inch, 4 3/4, and then I'm going to score on the 2.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. Then finally, these simple pockets for inside, we have got 5 1/2 inches by 3 inches, and we're going to score on the 5 1/2 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 5 inches. And then we're going to score on the 3 inch side at 1/2 inch. Same again, we're scoring on the 5 1/2 inch side at 1/2 inch at 5 inches, and then we're going to score on the 3 inch side at 1/2 inch. So pop those away. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take these flaps that we've got that we scored at the beginning, and we're just going to fold on those flaps there. Then we're going to take these 4 pockets and we're going to cut that corner off on all of them. Even though they're slightly different sizes, it doesn't matter. We might as well mitre them all in one go because it's all done in exactly the same way. So I'm just cutting off those corners like that. And we're going to fold on those score lines on all 4 pockets. As I said, slightly different sizes, it doesn't matter because they're made in exactly the same way. And then we're going to burnish everything. So burnish there, there, okay, so what I want to do first of all is to take the 2 flaps that we've got, and I'm going to put the flap at the top and underneath, and I'm going to take the smaller of the 2 pockets and I'm going to put some glue on that flap like that, And I'm going to attach that to the very bottom of that flap there, with the pocket pointing upwards towards the flap. And that's the same on both. So I've got my flap at the top underneath. I've got my smaller pocket, which I'm just going to attach to the front of the flap like that. There we go. And then I'm going to take my base folio, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to put some glue onto that flap there, and I'm going to attach it to the top of my folio, but remember it's slightly narrower than the actual page. So we're going to center it. We're going to stick the flap right at the top like that, but we're going to center this pocket flap there. So some glue on the top like that. Put it on the top of that side, center it, make sure it's straight. And we've got those two flaps in our folio. Okay, open those up, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the other two pockets that we've got, the larger pockets, glue on those flaps, and we're going to attach them to the bottom of the inside of the folio on either side of the connector here. And there we have folio number 12. So let me show you this one. As I said, this is my favourite, and I think it's because I love the creamy colour of this paper. I just love how that just acts as a real standout piece, as opposed to the reds and the blacks and the greens, which are all quite dark. I think this just really brightens everything up, and it's just such a perfect colour choice. So what I've done here is I have added a tag, which I've used my dies for, to cover you know, the original tag, and then I've fussy cut some of these lovely Christmas white roses, and I've added those. This is a cut apart from the 8x8, which I've put onto some chipboard to raise it up a bit, and then I've raised up these flowers as well onto chipboard, and I've got some of my gold leaf behind as well, just to give a bit of sparkle. Open it up, and what I've done is we've got the photo mats here. These are the smaller photo mats, which are 4 1/8 by 5 5/8 of an inch, and onto my pocket I matted a couple of the journaling cards onto some black cardstock, and I just glued those on. Then I've just decorated up the inside very, very simply. And then down here, what I've got are some stickers. I've got some cutter parts, which I've raised up onto chipboard. And then here we've got regular size photo mats. These are 4 1/8 by 6 1/8. And then I've got a couple of the journaling cards from the journaling card set, one in each side. And that is is folio number 12. So that is all of our folios put together. Here they are in the box, and they will, when they stand up properly, just the way that I've put them down, and they all stand up like this, you can see the charms on them and how lovely that all looks in the box there. So now we've made all of our folios, what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we are going to make the box and the lid, and I'm going to get Mark in on this because I told him what I wanted and he went off and made it, so I think I'm going to need a little bit of help from him to do that. So thank you for bearing with me for the folios. Come back in a moment and we're going to work on the box itself. Right, so welcome back, and what we're going to do now is work on the box. And I just wanted to start off by showing you the box with the lights on. You can put as many lights as you want, you know, in your box lid when you come to do it. But I've just got one set of sort of like LED, I guess they're bottle lights. They're lights that you put inside bottles, so they're nice and cool. They don't cause any heat or any fire, so they're perfectly safe to use with paper. And you can put as many sets on as you like, but I thought if we just start off and just show you what it's like with its little gentle glow, and then we'll get on and start the box. So if my glamorous assistant could put the lights on, that'd be grand. Whoa, it's like first thing in the morning. So I'm going to turn this off, and I am joined by Mark, who basically, I told him what I wanted and he made it. Trouble is, now I've got to show you how to make this box, and I am not quite the extraordinaire that he is, but we shall see. So the box itself, which fits all of your folios, is consisting of 3 parts. So we've got the base, we have got the lid, and then there is this special tray which fits inside the lid that you can put all of your fancy little bits and pieces in. I've used Graphic 45 roses, and you can't really see here, but they are so sparkly because I put sparkles all over them. I've used all sorts of bits and pieces in there, just to give you a bit of an idea. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with the box bottom. Now, we're not going to decorate this, but we are going to show you how it goes together. And the box itself, the bottom bit, consists of almost 2 parts. You've got the actual box itself, and then you've got, I don't know if you can see here clearly, you've got this lip that goes around the inside of the top of the box, and that is what holds our lid on. So we're going to start off with the base, and I am not the expert that Mark is, so let me introduce Mark. Hello, dear.
Hello.
And he's going to tell me when I'm doing this all wrong. Now, what he's already done, which I thoroughly suggest that you do, is Mark's already cut out all of the pieces as per the cutting guide and written on them exactly what they are. So for this part, you're going to need the base bottom. There is 1 piece, and this is 7 by 7 inches. Then you've got 4 sides, and these are 2 different sizes. So you've got 2 that are 7 by 5 1/8 of an inch, and 2 that are, what am I doing here? 2 that are 7 1/8 by 5 1/8 of an inch. So first of all, we're going to start with the base bottom. Now, I'm using construction tape to put my box together. We've tried it with sort of connectors, which are just pieces of folded card, and that will work, but it's not going to look as tidy as if you use tape. So I'm going to start off by just taking some of my construction tape. I'm just going to rip that off, and I'm going to pop that down on my board, and I'm just going to lay down my base on top of that construction tape like that, and making sure that that's stuck in quite well. Now, the next piece to start with is going to be, thank you, dear, one of the pieces that is 7 by 5 1/8 of an inch. And what you're going to do is the pieces are going to go around the outside. Okay, so I'm going to pop this directly on top of my tape. Actually, I'm going to turn this around so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to pop this directly on top of my tape. Now, this is going to be flush side to side with the bottom of the box. So this is a piece that is 7 inches across here, so it fits absolutely exactly. And now that's kind of already stuck, I'm just going to take this up, and I'm going to gently just take my construction tape and just smooth it over the back like that. How am I doing, dear? Is that right? Is that what you told me to do?
That's brilliant.
I know. All right, so now I've got this started, so I'm going to cut these off, aren't I?
Yes.
So I'm just going to trim my ends just on this first one. Oh, not helped by being left-handed. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some more tape, and I'm going to work on this side here. So if I pull a piece of tape, just make sure that it's just a little bit longer than the side that I want to work on. So I'm going to lay that down. I'm just going to turn my box around a little bit. This is sticky. And I'm going to lay this down on there like that. Okay, and make sure that that's stuck. Now, the clever thing about this side, the one that is 7 1/8 of an inch by 5 1/8 of an inch, is that because it's going on the outside, this is going to sit on the edge of this one as well. So it's like you're going to have these two pieces, which are slightly longer here and here, which are going to butt over the edge of this one, but actually it's all going to make one flat piece. So if I just put this on to show you and then lift it up, it'll make better sense. So I'm going to put this directly onto my construction tape, but it's going to be on the outside corner of my box, and you'll see here that it is marginally longer than my base, so that this piece, the next piece that we put on, will fit inside it. Okay, so that's stuck on like that, and I'm just going to pick that up and I'm just going to fold that over there like that. So you can see here that this is butted up completely, so you get the most perfect corner there, okay, because they butt up against each other. Now, I'm just going to trim this down a little bit, because what Mark told me to do, thank you dear, a little tip for you here is if you snip up to there and snip this bottom bit off, thank you, and then push that round there, that will help keep everything nice and tight. So you've got a really nice sharp corner there. Okay, so you can see that that box is starting to come together, and you've got that sharp, oh yeah, you've got that sharp corner there. So if I do the same at the other end, I'm going to chop that off completely. Thank you. But you can see that there's a little bit over there, and that's absolutely deliberate. So if I turn that round,
you want to tape up the edge corner.
Tape up the edge corner. Oh, that bit first. All right, so I'm just going to take some tape. If I just cut the bottom bit tidy. Oh, that goes inside.
So, yeah, it's easy if you rotate this that way.
Well, it might be if you're right-handed.
Yeah, you've got that support in it, then. So take a lead on it. I'll
So
put my finger on there.
let's pop that on there. Stick that down. Just make sure that that's right. And I'm just gonna, oh dear, pop that there like that. Let's just cut that. I was just thinking I'm just gonna pop that underneath. There we go. And then we've got a really nice sharp corner there on the bottom. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this one here. So I'm going to take my construction tape, another strip, lay that down there. Oops. And I'm going to put that on top like that. Now, as I said, you can see here, I think that is just marginally longer. You can see just there, this is just marginally longer. So what we need to do is put the side that is 7 by 5 1/8. Okay, this is a nice thing about having it all written on there, butting up there, so it's going to go inside. So if I just pop that there, there we go, just stick that down. Oh dear.
Just chop that end off.
I will chop the end off in a minute. So that's there like that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold that over like that. Chop that corner off and fold that round. There we go. And then that one needs to come off flush, doesn't it?
Yep.
So you'll see now that these edges, these are all flush here all the way round. So that works a treat. So what I'm going to do now is stick this bit together. So if I take some of my construction tape, just chop that. Now I'm going to just pop that there. Probably I've used far too much here. Make sure that that is flush there. And fold my construction tape over. So I've got a nice sharp corner going on. Is that Max?
Yes.
What's he doing? Sometimes it's best not to ask questions, I think.
He's hunting.
Oh gosh. Okay, so now I've got that nice corner there, and I'm just going to cut this off flush. Ish.
Now, might be an idea to put some tape on the inside.
Yeah. Now, when we're doing the inside, I know when we're putting like a pattern paper on, like on here, you can see that it's black all around the edges, which will give the box some extra stability, but it also looks nice. So this is the bit that I'm dreading, because basically I'm going to reinforce these corners here with my tape. I don't know why I just... How'd you get it into the corner?
I'll just put it flush, butt it up with one end. And try to stick it only on the bottom at the initially. And push it in with your nail and smooth.
Okay, let's just take that off. The nice thing is, though, is that if you do make a mess of it, like I'm pretty much doing here, because it's not the same level all the way down, it doesn't matter because your pattern paper is going to cover that. So let's do this side. That is rubbish. Let's try again.
Wrong side food, isn't it?
It's totally, I don't know. I think if you're left-handed, this is impossible. There we go. Oh, ish.
Yeah, you have to make sure you stick it to the bottom before anything.
Not very straight, but it'll do. I don't even know I'm going to do this back bit.
I'll just cut it to the right length. I did find it helps if you stick your tongue out a bit.
I'm doing that.
I noticed.
Oh dear. Luckily you're not going to see these bits. There we go. That'll do for now. And then I'm going to put some up these bits as well, just to reinforce them. Sorry, and I'm doing this and you can't see. Probably best you can't see.
I find it easy to put that.
Oh, I hate these knives.
Just do like it.
Okay, and then the last one.
Before the awkward ones come.
I ain't doing the inside of the rest of it. The people just have to take it as red. All right, so that's in. You can always use your bone folder to get into the corners if you need to. Cut that end off. And then we're going to do the same as before. So get your tape, lay it down. Pop that on there. And remember that this one is flush to the outside. This will fit across the rest of your box. We'll fold your construction tape over. Okay. Oh. And then we're going to tape the outside. Final one. Not too bad.
Not too shabby.
Place that round. and then you can take the inside as well. But I'm going to let Mark do that off camera. Okay, so that is how you put the bottom of your box together. But what we need to do as well is add this little lip on here. So Mark's already cut these out. These are two sorts of greyboard. There's the 1500 micron, which is what we've used for our box, and those are, oh no, these are all 1000 microns, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is all from 1000 micron greyboard, and there's two sizes. One is 7 by 1.5 and the other one is 7 by 1, and this is a spacer piece. So give us 2 seconds for Mark to do the inside bit, and we will be right back. Okay, so what we're going to do now is make this lip that goes around the top of the box that allows the lid to sit in securely. So as I said, Mark's already cut out the pieces that we need, and you've got 4 at 7 by 1.5 and 4 at 7 by 1. So what we need to do is glue this. The 7 by 1 is actually a spacer piece, which will become apparent in a minute. But what you're going to do is you're going to glue, if you've got any glue coming out of your bottle, is glue that onto the bottom of one of the larger pieces. So you've got a large and a small piece sandwiched together like that, and that's going to be the same on all of them. So let me see if I can find some glue. Honestly, there's about 5 bottles of glue up here and none of them work.
If you pass one over on Pokey.
Thank you. I don't know where my Pokey tool is.
Right.
So make sure that that's completely flush with the piece underneath, like that. Oh, now it's coming out.
Come out on my t-shirt.
Oh well. Okay, and then the final piece. Like that. And to start with, we're going to work on opposite sides. So I'm going to take my box and I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to put some glue onto that piece that's at the front, the one that is 1 inch. Okay, got some glue on there, and I'm going to attach it inside my box so that the piece that's 1 inch is flush with the top of the box. Okay, so it's acting as a spacer, but it's also a guide. So here we've got 2 thicknesses of card, of greyboard, and we've got this piece that pops up like that. Oh, out of focus. Okay, so now I'm going to do exactly the same, but I'm going to do it on the opposite side. So I'm just going to put some glue onto the front, onto the spacer. That was the piece that is 1 inch, and I'm going to attach it to my box inside. So here, if I just lift that up, you can see here you've got the spacer. You're going to just have that flush with the top of the box. Okay, so once those 2 are in, we've still got these 2, and these are going to go here and here. But what we need to do is, because we've already got these in, it's going to need to be shortened slightly. So if you just work out how much you need to take off, you can see here that is flush with that there. But I'm going to need, because this is too long here, I'm just going to mark where I need to take it down to. So if I just grab my pen. So if I just mark there. So I've just made a little mark. That's where I need to cut that off so that it's flush with the inside of the box. I hate this knife. Where's my ruler? Where's my safety ruler?
Yes, safety.
I don't know. And I'm just going to cut that off, that end off. That seems like an awful lot. Your knife scares me.
I like it.
I don't. It's sharp. So in theory, and let's watch me because I've done it wrong, this is now going to fit nicely. Oh man, perfect. Inside there like that. Okay, so that fits perfectly. So I'm going to just put some glue. I know, even though I'm impressed.
Can we just have a finger count there?
I'm just going to put some glue on that spacer, and I'm just going to slip it inside there. Make sure that my spacer is flush with my the top of my box here. Oh, come on, into focus, please. It doesn't want to play at all today, does it? So that's there. So now I'm going to do exactly the same with the other one. So I'm just going to lay this down because it's easier for me to see. I'll try and angle it a bit so you can see what I'm doing. So I've got this here, so I know that that's the edge, and I'm just going to grab my pen and I'm just going to mark on the on the inside of where I need to cut that off. So here's my piece that's flush with that, and then you can see this black mark here, just down there. That's flush with this piece going across here. So I know where I need to cut. So here's my ruler, here's my knife, here's my fingers. I have 5.
That is the first, thank you.
Let's take that off. Okay. Oh, right. Let me make sure it fits. It's not bad for a girl. Right. I can say that. Listen, boxes are not my thing. Oh, actually, I'll maybe cut that a tad too short, but it's near enough. Okay, and then I'm putting that in. Excuse the glue. I'm putting that in. You can see that the spacer is flush with the top of my box. Okay, now, can you see here that now my spacer's in? Because of the way this goes in the box, that there's just this little bit here that's just a smidge longer because of the step that we've got, because of the spacer here. This edge is just a smidge, and it is literally a smidge too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Mark's knife. Okay. And what? Oh yeah, I was going to do it my way.
Okay, do your way.
I was just going to trim it.
Yeah.
Let me take my glasses off so I don't see the blood. And you're just going to trim carefully. Do as I say, don't do as I do. You're just going to trim that edge off there. So that is now, I don't know if you can see, beautifully flush. So let's have a look at this one. That's not far off, actually. That's a smidge over.
So basically the thickness of the chipboard.
It is. It's not much at all. So let's just take that off. And that's just fallen down because I pushed the wrong thing. That's not too bad. I think let me just pass this to the master. Don't watch me a minute.
Just give it enough.
That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Near enough.
Enough.
Oh, it doesn't need attention. It's near enough.
The glue's dried up on this. It's not glue.
Here's one I made earlier. These feet, these are graphic 45 feet. They're metal and they are excellent. They are so much fun. But when you've decorated up your box and you're going to put any feet on it, if you are going to put feet on it, because it's metal, just make sure that you're using the right glue. We've used super glue Araldite, but there's all sorts of glues that you can get that will be suitable for putting these feet on. So now we just need to tidy it all up. I've lost my tape. Excuse me. Let me just grab the tape. And what we're going to do now is just put the tape around here and the inside as well. And then you can just get on and decorate with patterned paper. So I'm going to put the tape so you can see that it goes all the way along here and it just folds over a little bit and then goes over. Don't forget to do these bits inside as well at the bottom, and it'll just look so much neater. So we're going to put the tape along the top and then we're going to come back and we're going to make the lid. Okay, so while Mark's putting the tape around the top of the box, I'm going to start work on the lid, which is made in exactly the same way as the base. But a top tip is when you're cutting out your lid, which is 7 by 7, which of course is the same size as the bottom of our box, we need to cut an aperture into the top, which is has a 1-inch border. So you can see here that our lid, ignore the tray for a moment, but the lid itself has a 1-inch frame that goes around the top there. So what Mark's done here when he cut it out is he's cut it, but he hasn't quite cut through at the corners. So the middle of the frame is still held in place, and this is a really good tip because what that means is that when we're putting the box together, the lid, it doesn't kind of, you know, move, and it just makes for a much cleaner finished object. So we will take that middle bit, even though it has been partially cut, we will take that out at the very end. So we now have our own rolls of tape. This is mine. It's covered in cat hair and gold leaf, of course. That's how I know it's mine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off and I'm going to make this in exactly the same way as the bottom. So I'm going to start with a piece of tape, which I've now stuck myself to. Mine comes complete with gold, of course. Oh, stuck myself to it. And I'm just going to lay that down on there like that. Now, the lid sides, of course, are exactly the same way as the lid bases. You've got 2 different sizes. You've got 2 that are 7 by 2 1/8, and you've got 2 that are 7 1/8 by 2 1/8. And if you remember, the reason why it's 1/8 of an inch longer is because it overlaps and it just helps butt up against the extra sides. So I'm going to start off with the one that is 7 inches. I'm just going to turn that around so I can see what I'm doing, and I'm just going to place this onto the tape. Now this piece is exactly the same length as the box there. So that's nice and easy start. So I've got that in place, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold over my tape like that and give myself a nice edge, and I'm just going to trim off my tape like that. So now I'm going to get myself a piece of, let's put that there, lean that up there. I'm going to get myself another piece of tape. do you not get stuck to this? And I'm going to put that lid on there like that. And I'm going to take the side that is 7 1/8, and I am going to butt it up to the outside, on the outside of my lid, like that. Have it securely down. Then I'm going to take that and I'm going to fold it over like that. Okay, so let's just trim this down a little. Fold that down. And now I'm just going to take a piece of tape and I'm going to cover that corner there. And fold that round like that. So I've got my nice sharp corner. And let's trim that off there like that. Okay. So that's one corner done. I'm fighting over the scissors now. Okay, and now I'm going to take another piece of tape. Try not to get stuck to it. I don't even know how this happens. How do you not get stuck to it?
Magic.
And then I'm going to lie that down on there like that. There we go. And I'm going to take this one, which is £7 inches, and I'm going to butt that up against there along the bottom. And then I'm going to fold, oops, I'm going to throw it. I'm going to fold that over. There we go, fold that round. Take the glasses off so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so that's inside there like that. There we go. Got to do that inside bit. I might leave that bit for Mark.
Thank you, dear.
That's all right, anytime. Oh, I did it. Talk about practice makes perfect. Okay. Okay, maybe not so perfect. This is more about reinforcement because you're not actually going to see this part of the inside of your lid, thankfully. If you're gentle, you can always use a bone folder to get into the corners, but just bear in mind that with this tape, you know, it's not so strong that you're not going to, you know, put a nail through it or something. Now, not that this matters one bit, but another tip for you is you're not going to see this, so it doesn't matter. But I don't know if you can see in that corner, I've actually missed a tiny bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my Sharpie and I'm just going to colour in that bit that I've missed there. So if you do by any chance miss any bits, Sharpie to the rescue. Okay, so you can see that that's there. That's covered that nicely. Okay, so on to the last bit. So let's take my tape. Pop the lid down on there like that. I've got my final piece, which I can't remember whether it goes in or out because it's 7 1/8. Let's put that on there. There we go. Fold that over. Nice thing about this tape as well is it is quite forgiving, so if you do get a wrinkle in it, you can usually just buff it out with a bone folder or something similar. So don't worry about the wrinkles, not on this anyway. Okay, so that's that put together. Now I'm just going to put these edges on. That's corner on the outside. Get that all lined up. Okay, now we're just going to do that last bit of the inside. Okay, and then the final piece. Trim those edges off. And that's my lid, apart from the two final bits, which now I've put that together, I can take this out. So very gently, what I need to do is find a knife. I'm not using yours, it scares me. And I'm just gonna do those corners. You're watching me, aren't you?
No.
You are. Now I've cut that out, you can see here that I've got these little fluffy bits on the edge. You have got a choice. You're going to cover it in a minute with the tape anyway, so it's kind of irrelevant. But if they bother you, just simply get a nail file and just file it down so that all those little tufty bits have gone. So now all that's left to do is cover this edge in black tape and cover the aperture in black tape. Once you've done that, your lid is finished. So what we're going to do is come back next and we're going to make the tray. Right, so while Mark finishes taping up our lid, I'm going to work on, I'm just going to switch this off. Is it still on? Oh no. I'm going to work on the tray. Now the tray is of slightly different construction in that before, where we've put our sort of like our lippy things on the outside of the base, we're actually going to be putting these on top of it, so not to the side but on top. Okay, so the tray bottom is a little odd size, but it's so that it fits perfectly into the lid, and this is 6 and 15/16 square. And then we've got our sides, which are of two different sizes again. So we've got 2 at 6 and 15/16 by 1 and 7/16, and then we have got the other side size, which they're all the same.
15, 15, 13.
Oh yeah, we've got 2 that are 6 and 13/16 by 7 and okay. Right, so 2 are exactly the same length as our tray. Now, when we're going to put this on top, it's actually easier if we tape this bit first rather than that bit. So I'm just going to take some tape. And I'm going to put this on top about halfway across my tape, like that. Okay, then we're going to take this to the tray bottom, and we're going to put that on top like that.
Put that on.
So that's down, and then so the same way as we did it before, just the opposite way round. And then we're going to put our tape in place like that. So this is sitting on top of the base, not to the side of it. So let me just chop these bits of tape off. I'm going to put that to one side there for a minute. I'm going to get some of my tape, and I'm going to take the piece now that is 6 13/16.
Sorry.
Yes. And I'm going to lay that down on there like that. So if I lay that down, and then I take this piece and I put that there like that, so it's inside this piece, and it's inside this piece, but it's resting on the top of my base like that, then I can just use my tape to secure it down like that, and then continue the same way we did previously. So I'm just going to trim that down a little bit. And fold that around. Okay, and a little bit of tape on the corner. Like that. Okay, so now I'm going to take the other piece that is 6 by 15/16. Take some tape. Ooh. Lay that down on top there like that. Bring my tray. Now remember that this sits on top. Just want to stick. Like that. Fold that up.
You've got that.
Ooh. So that sits on top, that one on the inside. Fold that around to secure it. And trim that one off. Then the final piece. Okay, and this is going to fit inside. There we go. Oh, that's impressive. It fits exactly. Who knew?
Me.
Oh. Okay, let's fold that up. Make sure that sits inside. Bit of tape on the outside there. And there. And I haven't done the inside. But actually, I guess it's not going to be that difficult because it's quite a shallow tray. Now, you're not going to see this top bit, so unless you really desperately want to, there is no need to go over the edge with tape like we did on the lid, but you can certainly go around these bits. So let me just take a little bit of tape. Oh, so sorry. Allergic to something. Tape, yeah. And I'm just going to reinforce those corners. Okay. I know these aren't straight, but it really doesn't matter because once you put your patterned paper on, you're not going to see a thing. Although having said that, Mark's first run was absolutely spot on perfect. Me, not so much. So let's talk a little bit about how to decorate the inside of the tray. What you need to do is put some pattern paper on the base here and then around these bits here as well. You don't need to worry about this because you're not going to see it. And then what you've got basically here is roughly 1.5 inches of space that you can use items of height in. So if you want to use the roses, if you are making this with a different collection and maybe you want to add something suitable in there. I'm just trying to think if you've got, you know, if you're going to use something like steampunk spells and you want to use a little steampunky thing in there, then, you know, you've got quite a lot of depth to play with. But you need to decorate up and load up the tray before you put it into the lid. So the lid itself, you're going to have to cut out a piece of acetate. As you remember, the top of the lid is 7 by 7 inches, so I cut a piece of acetate that was 6 7/8 of an inch and just put that inside. You do that first and then you decorate up your tray as you want. Now, I wanted to put my lights underneath here, underneath where it says warm wishes. So what I did was I built that up on bits of chipboard, and I literally just wrapped around my lights around the chipboard, and then I made a hole with my Pokey tool underneath here through to underneath the bottom of my tray. I threaded the lights through first and then wrap them around because that was easier, and then I've just used some tape just to secure that unit in place. Now these lights are great because you can replace the batteries really easily. So that's just something to consider when you are choosing your batteries. Now you need to go around the edge here. I'm not going to do that now. But once you've got all of that decorated up, what you need to do is take your lid with the acetate, moment of truth, and this, obviously this way round, will just fit, and it's going to be tight. This is absolutely deliberate, and it's just going to fit in your lid. You can see here, that is going to fit inside like that. Push it up gently, gently, as far as it'll go. So that your tray leaves a lip around the outside here. You've got all your lovely decorations in here. You're going to attach your lights to the bottom of that, and then your lid will fit on your box like that. Okay, and that is how you put your box and your lid together. So now it's the fun bit, which is decorating up. Once that's in, I do not recommend taking it out again. So I would suggest that it's not something that you can keep changing, say with every season or something. You really want to, once it's in there, you want to leave it in there, would be my advice. So yes, decorate it up. This is the fun bit. You can put your feet on, you can put anything you like in this space here. If you want a little bit of extra security and you're feeling confident, you can put some tape around the outside there. But having said that, I don't think it needs it, because the lid, the tray is so beautifully tight fitting that it's not going to come out. So that is our G45 feature project. I hope you've enjoyed it. I would love to see what you make, so do feel free to put your makes into the Graphic 45 community page Facebook group, and if you get stuck at all, just drop us a line and we'd be more than happy to help you out and point you in the right direction. So I hope you join me again next month for another project, and thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you guys really soon. Bye.